Healthcare and senior care is fraught with problems and challenges, but we're also seeing some amazing new clinical treatments and resources. This show will help illuminate and uncover the good, bad, the ugly in order to equip patients, families, and other healthcare providers. Welcome to Senior Care Confidential. Hello, and welcome to another edition of Senior Care Confidential. I am joined today with a very esteemed guest of ours. Her name is Laurie Miller, and she is the founder and owner of Apple Care Companions, as well as Age Tech Now. And this is a fascinating conversation. In fact, Laura and I just met recently, and the whole tech space is... it's incredible. And I'm fascinated by being able to use these kind of devices and these kind of tools in the homes to figure out ways to extend, outcomes even longer than when we're there in the homes with them. And so I'll read just a little bit of a blurb from her website, and then we'll get to introduce her. So there's a lot of media buzz surrounding the newly coined age tech sector. Age tech startups are raising millions of dollars, being awarded grant money, and winning all kinds of prize money and awards. However, many of these well-funded and award-winning companies never get their product or service to the customer in need. And that's what you focus on. So welcome to the show, and thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
So give me a little bit of background on what were you doing before? And then what was the thing that you were seeing in the marketplace that you felt like, I need to fill that void through this?
Well, I currently own a home care agency, Apple Care and Companion, and we're non-medical home care. And a lot of people need, in addition to the human caregiver, need other solutions to help them. They also need to know where to spend their caregiving dollars. A lot of people don't save enough money for home care, and we just want to help them extend their money, or maybe they don't need care at night, or maybe they do, but we have solutions to help identify that problem.
So how did you start thinking in terms of like the tech stuff? Like where did that come from?
Actually, I've been interested in it for many years. And I would say 10 years ago, someone approached me to test a product. And it was really, really cool. It was before Fitbits and before Apple Watches, before that. And it was a wearable before there was something like that. Mm-hmm. And my first thought was it was just nuts because you wore it like a watch, but it wasn't a watch. It was a tracking device. Yeah. And I thought, this is never going to take off. Right. It was like,
meanwhile, we all have Apple Watches.
Meanwhile, I have right. But it was a problem. You would go into a building and you would lose the signal. And it was just ahead of its time. But I was fascinated with that idea that you could hook something maybe on someone's purse or even tie it on their shoe if they were prone to wandering. Yep. It was just a nice, safe way to let someone be independent as possible, but kind of keep your eyes on them and make sure they're safe. Yep. That obviously wasn't quite ready to go to market. I talked to him again, I think 3 years later, and had been better. And then there's cell towers and all the different stuff. So everything was evolving. I tested another product maybe a few years after that, and it was a really great motion sensor kind of contact strip thing that there's a lot of that out now, but back then it was new and it was close to $5,000. It was just way too expensive, but it did some wonderful things. It monitored the temperature. A lot of older adults either have their place too hot or too cold, or in the winter, they don't want to spend the money to heat it. So that was a good way for the family to know what was going on. But at $5,000 plus a monthly fee, it wasn't doable. But now things have changed. I think we're at this time where the cost of these items and they're just better now. And so I just started becoming more interested in that things were better now and that more affordable and just they worked better. Yeah. So it sounds like you guys were deploying humans in the home to assist with them, but it sounds like you were maybe concerned about what happens when the humans aren't there. If they're on 4-hour shifts or 8-hour shifts, like what's happening overnight time, and what can we come up with? What products have already been developed that we could utilize while my staff isn't out there? Exactly, because we've had people who think they might need 20 or not even 24/7 care, but overnight care. Mm-hmm. But they'll say, "Oh, Dad hasn't wandered," and my answer is, "Yet."
Right.
You don't
or
know.
that we know about. Yeah.
And so then sometimes they would say, okay, well, we'll put someone in for a couple nights and see what happens. And then we could test, oh, he slept the night, everything's fine. But we know that's not true. Or the caregiver would go in the morning and he had a fall at night.
Yep.
So, but maybe they really couldn't afford all of the care at night, but we just needed eyes in there to see. And so that's when we started kind of looking what's out there and what's available to the consumer now.
Yeah.
Because that's something else. There's a lot of items that are available. And I understand why a company would want to go, say, to an assisted living or independent living, because you could sell a lot of them at one time. But that's not really helping the people who really need it, which are the people in their own home. So one way for me was to try to find these products that people would sell to the consumer in their own home.
Yeah. And we talked before the show, one of my favorite stores is Best Buy, because like every guy likes all the pretty lights and speakers and all that kind of stuff. And several years ago, I want to say it was like 2018, 2017, somewhere around that range, kind of the same time that you started looking, they actually hired their first ever chief medical officer, because they were seeing the same thing. Like the technology was becoming to a point where it was cost effective and so much better than what was out there available, even 10 years ago, that they wanted to get into that consumer line for senior care. The challenge that I always have had with Best Buy doing it is there's no care manager. There's no PT that they employ to go out to patients' home to kind of figure this out. And so while they have a wide selection of stuff for senior care, it's just like, you're at your own, you're out there having to select the products that you think are going to work better for mom and dad without really somebody who's kind of educated in that space and has kind of lived this to help guide you. So that's why I appreciate what you're doing here is yes, you're curating a list of tried and true products, but you're also helping to guide family members on this is why this will work. And you're probably asking a lot of questions to help them figure out which product suite will work and which ones are going to be ineffective.
Exactly. Because everything isn't right for every person. Everyone's different and every situation is different. So what might work for one person who has cognitive impairment may not work at all for someone else who has cognitive impairment. Okay.
And so what are some of the things that you guys have found that, like, what are the most popular devices or solutions that you guys have recommended to families?
Well, I don't have any the best yet, because it's also different and it's also new.
Yeah.
There's a few that I've been introduced to recently that I just think are really game changers and are really exciting. And one is, we talked about a little while ago, called NextRide. And it's amazing because it's the mobility, for mobility issues. So you can attach this product to someone's walker or cane, and it has a visual cue and an auditory cue. So it has a button where you can switch. So it's a metronome sound and also a laser beam. And you can move the laser different places. So that way the person who's walking can aim for the laser beam and walk. And it's someone who has freezing of gait, like Parkinson's, or someone who is maybe recovering from a stroke, or someone who has just issues right now with walking, where, I mean, it's scientifically proven if you have a problem in your brain, the auditory or the visual cue can kind of go around the problem and you can walk.
It removes the hesitation.
And which you know more, but it's amazing. And it's life-changing for someone to be able to walk and not have to be in a wheelchair. I mean, that's just amazing.
And this device will attach to any walker. So it's not like, because I've seen the walkers that have the built-in laser level. Let me say laser level. You know what I'm saying? It's got the built-in laser thing that goes along the floor, but those are built in. Like the walker comes with, you can choose whatever walker you want, and this thing goes on it.
Yep, takes 15 seconds to put it on or off.
Nice.
And you can, there's a button at the top that if you don't want anyone to know that you have a laser beam on your walker or the noise, you just turn it off or you take it off. It's that easy. And it fits on a cane. It's light enough to where it's not going to make the cane or a walking stick.
Yeah.
And it can fit on a rollator walker or any kind. It's amazing.
That's cool.
Yeah.
One of the other ones that you showed me that I'm thrilled about, I want to try it now because I got to see it, is the transfer pants. So I know I work in a lot of assisted living and senior living communities, and I work with a lot of caregivers, private duty caregivers in some homes too. And one of the challenging things, and I think some of it's because, especially in an assisted living, they've got so many residents to work with. And so to get a gait belt on and off of each individual patient or resident there sometimes can be challenging. Yeah. And so I'm thinking like use cases of this stuff, like it's fascinating. There's really like cargo pants,
Yep.
that have these built-in transfer straps, like a gate belt would, that you can actually utilize. And I love that idea.
And they're
it's like a built-in gate belt.
It's a built-in gate belt, because I know many of our clients they refuse to wear a gate belt. They won't do it, and we're like, you have to. We can't
control you. We can't transfer you.
And so a lot of the family will say, no, mom doesn't want to wear a gate belt, so we're not going to do it.
Yeah, so we run into that too. A lot of times what they want is they want someone to just lift me up on my arms. I'm like, whoa, you're like 87 pounds soaking wet. Like, we're going to dislocate an arm by doing this. Or you're going to have skin tears or brachial plexus injuries or whatever.
Or just they want you to hold them around the neck or hold your neck.
Right. I'll just pull onto you.
Yeah.
No,
okay.
that's fascinating. That's awesome. What other kind of things? You mentioned something. There was a device. So imagine a scenario where you've got like your great grandmother, and loves to go out to dinner, needs to use her walker. But and I know that when you're in your 80s and 90s, like the bladder frequency, the need to go sometimes is a lot more frequent than we'd like. And so some people I'm actually working with somebody right now with this issue. They don't like to leave the house because they're afraid of, I can't get to a toilet that I can get on and off of.
Right.
And that's until you start working with people in like the homes, like those are not things that we typically think about. So you showed me a device that actually solves this. Describe that to us.
So it's pretty much, if you need a raised toilet seat at home, you need a raised toilet seat wherever you're going. Huh. So there's a product called Free to Go Mobility. And it's actually the woman here in Frisco invented it. And it is a rollator. And underneath the seat is a hidden toilet seat. So you just lift up the seat where you could sit, and you just roll it right over a toilet in a restaurant, and it's a raised toilet seat.
That is amazing.
And
it's hidden because normally those rollators have that folded down seat. So this just sits right underneath that. All you have to do is walk in the stall, lift it up, and there's your raised toilet seat.
Yep. I mean, it comes with a little cover just for cleanliness, and there's even a little pocket on the inside of when you lift up the seat, so you can put sanitary thing to clean it. If you wanted to. It's
fascinating.
It's amazing. And you would never know. It looks just like another rollator. I had a show recently, so I hooked the next stride onto that rollator, which is, it's a big rollator, and it worked perfect. And it was great to be able to see all this. And people can leave the house, which is so important.
Yes.
And feel safe.
Yep.
And for the caregiver to feel safe, that they can handle their parent.
Oh yeah, no, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I know.
So I will geek out on all the mobility stuff. What are some other ones? You showed me one earlier today that was like a video thing where it protects you don't get to see the actual person. It's like a stick figure thing. Describe that.
Okay, so there's lots of sensors out there. There's motion sensors, which I have on the website too. Some really great motion sensors, because people are concerned about privacy issues. If someone isn't wearing clothes, or just for whatever reason, there's privacy issues. This this sensor, it's a camera, but when it translates the video, so the person is a stick figure. You can actually upload their face, so it would have facial recognition if you wanted to. So it would be the face.
So you could see if there's multiple people in the homes, you can tell which one's which.
Exactly. Yeah. Otherwise, it's just multicolor stick figures, and I've been playing with it. I have it set up in my house, and then we had a party this Sunday, and you just see all these multicolor stick figures walking all around. But it's amazing, and you could put them. And that was just one that I showed you, and it covered the whole room.
Yeah.
You can also identify the floor, so you can add fall detection. So if someone fell, I didn't even know I had this alert on. My husband and I were watching the Ranger game yesterday, I think it was. And all of a sudden I get an alert on my phone, and I didn't even know what it was.
Your heart rate's elevated. Yeah.
It was, I think, because we were screaming. Because it has all the sensory in it. And I'm like, what is that alert? And it said, do you want to keep this alert? Or it has AI built into the program. Yeah. And I'm like, no, it's okay.
Because we're just yelling. Yeah.
You're screaming. You're
Safe
so
for the next game. Yeah. That's awesome.
But it's great. And then you can go back and look, and it has all the video recordings. So you don't have to be watching it live. You can go back and look and see what happened.
Is there a trigger? Is there an alert that every time somebody gets up to move?
You can make alerts.
Set it up? So let's say, for example, I'm used to my grandfather getting up at, I don't know, let's say 9 a.m., walks to the kitchen. Like his normal routine is, 9 to 10, I'm sitting in the kitchen reading my newspaper, drinking coffee, whatever. And then, I might sit down and watch some TV for a few minutes and then take a quick nap. Could you set up the alert so that if I know the certain schedule is this, if anything varies from that, like getting up too early or getting up too late, I get some sort of alert?
Almost all the sensors now, you can do that. You can do alerts. So let's say he always goes and gets the paper, let's just say, because that's always a scary thing. Someone going outside, get the paper.
Yep.
By 9. So if he doesn't get the paper by, say, 10, maybe he gets the paper between 8 and 9 every day.
Yep.
That's like a normal thing. If he doesn't get the paper by, say, 10,
yep.
there's a problem. Or if he's never wandered, like that other family who says, oh, no, dad never wanders. Well,
yeah.
If someone is moving around in the middle of the night, you can get an alert. Some people don't want those alerts. But yeah, all these are now customizable. You can get an alert if the door doesn't open, so to speak, or if someone doesn't walk across that threshold. Or if they do. So 2 a.m, if the door is open, you can get an alert.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. As a PT, physical therapist, we are always looking for small nuanced changes that may alert us for things going downhill. Because if we can catch them early enough, then it's far easier to fix them versus having somebody go through the fall or the injury or whatever. And some of those, result in surgeries and fractures. And so if we can start spotting some small changes and kind of spot the trends, I think that's where these kind of things can be hugely helpful for sure. Yeah.
There's another sensor, a motion sensor called StatCare. And that's great. And they're just these little, and I had these in the house too, and you don't even see them after a while. You just totally ignore them. You can put one in the bathroom and it's motion only. Okay. But it's really great to see. Is someone going in the bathroom 5 times at night? And if that's okay, maybe every night they go 5 times, that's fine. This also has AI behind it. So if all of a sudden someone's going 8 or 9 times, you'll get the alert that that's not what their norm is.
It's a motion sensor you put in certain rooms or something, like in the bathroom?
Yeah, bathroom, you can even do contact sensors on the refrigerator. So you know if someone's not eating maybe. Oh. And you can do even some people, the whole medication management is a tough one. I was going to get
into that with you.
Well, and there's a lot of stuff out there that you can totally lead the horse to water, but with pills,
I'm so glad you said that, because a lot of people think, well, if I just set an alarm, like they've got these really fancy things, like these things the alarm will go off until your mom or dad pulls it out, so they know that to take their meds. And my thinking
just means they pulled it out.
It just means they pulled it out to turn the alarm off. It doesn't mean that they actually ingested it.
Exactly. Yeah. So you can put some behind a cabinet and they open the cabinet. So there's all these things, but you can't. I mean, I guarantee you, because I think they already have it now, there will be something in the future that will be so tiny that you swallow it, that we would know, but that's still too much for me. Yes. But there's another one that's, it's called Connected Caregiver, and they have a lot of other wonderful pieces to theirs, but they have a new medication one called the Prompter. And it actually, it does as much as you can want. If it's shaken, just the whole thing, which is good. But then if each individual door, opens up. Uh-huh. So most likely if an older adult's going to open up that window to dump out the pills,
it's better. It's getting closer.
You think they're going to take it.
Yeah.
So that's at least, that's closer.
As a father of boys, and I won't tell them myself because I'm sure I did this too, but as a father of boys, like I've witnessed the shower going on,
right?
And you smell them later, like you didn't actually shower. So like you can only take them so far, and it still is going to be like they're going to learn, hey, if I open this door, then the alarm goes away.
Well, so you know what? That's another problem that needs to be addressed. Maybe they do need a human in there during the pill times,
or a video to watch,
or video. Yes.
Right, you can do it that way too. We've used some Amazon Alexa Echo shows. Uh-huh. Where the family members can actually, it connects without them having to hit answer. And so they can actually video, not record, but video talk through the machine. And we just have it set up near the medication dispenser. And so they can actually see mom or dad actually take the meds at 8:00 in the morning. Bye, love you, have a great day,
And that's a very reasonably priced thing. Yes.
Humans, to observe, but it's at least getting closer to where we don't have to have them necessarily in the home, which can be taxing on family members, or it can be costly if they're having to pay for private duty caregiving.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot of great ideas, but that it can't really tell if they ingest it or accidentally drop one or two, which we find, or one stays in there.
Right.
We've seen that too.
It's getting closer though.
It's getting
which
closer.
is cool. That's awesome. All right. So last question. You mentioned one about, and I'm going to butcher the name again. You know what I'm talking about? It looks like a picture frame type thing.
Yep.
What's that one?
Okay. This product is called Sociavi. So Avi's friend. And Soci is, I think, engagement.
Social,
It's a very cool.
Now it makes sense. Okay, yeah, okay.
Very cool engagement idea. It's like a 15-inch. Think of an Echo Show, but bigger.
Yeah.
And it does a lot of things. When it's not in use, it's a digital picture frame. And again, I tested this one. I sent the link. Very easy. I sent the link to all the grandkids. Oh, I need to probably thank my in-laws because they are my guinea pigs.
Do they know?
Oh yeah, they know. They're like,
hey, I have a new one for you. Try this one out. Yeah,
I do. And they're like,
do you love it? Do you hate it? Yeah.
But they're great because some things it just doesn't work, and they'll tell me why, and it's wonderful. So it's like a tab, like a Echo Show kind of thing. And it's easy to use where you can just text the pictures to the frame and it's instantly on there. So, and I have another one that's just a frame, but so when it's not in use, it's got the pictures scrolling by, which is wonderful. Mm-hmm. It also has anyone who has the link, because it's safe that way. So it's self-contained. You can, if they upload their picture, you can just push their picture, and it's a one-touch video calling. This piece is really meant for someone with cognitive impairment, that they can't use maybe their tablet anymore. The computer's too confusing. It has about 30 different levels of brain games, all different levels. Like one game maybe has 4 or 5 different levels on it. Everything is touch screen, so you can paint, you can do puzzles. It has number games. It has, click this. Touch this one, it'll have something. You have to find another one. Matching games. Okay. All kinds of really nice games. It has a communication board if someone couldn't find their words. And all these things you don't have to use. But they've now have a deal with a company who makes audiobooks for cognitive impairment. So you can click on that. So it reads along with you out loud, and you can follow along. So it's great to keep your brain stimulated. Wow. And then if someone Sociavi. Okay. And then it has, which I love, so someone is maybe agitated or they're not calming down. They have some videos on there that are just like, they're like mini movies, but with no plot. Like you can just see puppies or babies. Okay. Or what's going to calm someone down. And it's really nice. If someone loved certain music or video or something like that, the company will put that on there individually for people and really customize it. So let's say it was a man and he just loved cars or loved something, they would put specific things on there for that person. Him. Okay. And music as well. And you mentioned, now are there alerts to remind them, hey, it's time to play games or whatever? Or? Yes. So the family, or it can, this particular item can also be used in a community, in a facility, so they can blast it to all of them. Which is kind of a cool thing for a senior living community. But even if it was just for the one person, the family member can put like, Nexus Home Health is coming today at 10 o'clock, be ready. Yeah. And you can set the alert so it can just scroll and it'll go away, or they have to touch it to acknowledge that they saw it. And then you also get the notice that they touched it. Like a red receipt. So you could do medicines, take your medicines, and it'll be an alarm kind of alert, not scary alarm, but like a buzz. Okay. So yeah, it's a great product too. I think that's really nice. Okay. Yeah. And you may not, I think I mentioned this before and I didn't understand. Are you aware of any kind of going back to the stick figure thing? Because I just love that. Is there a product out there now that's looking at gait speed? Because we know in the research, if you start to see a progressive decline in gait speed, walking speed, that there's something else brewing. Like you can tell, like mortality is starting to decline at that point. I know the technology is out there because I did have a product a few years ago that did that. Okay. I know they do it in doctors. We just interviewed a geriatrician a few weeks ago, and he does it in their clinic. So there's a setup for that in a clinic. I just haven't seen it for use in a home environment yet. Yes, I have, and this is one of the problems with some of the items out there is there's such great technology, and these items can do so much. It's hard for the company to decide what they want to roll out. And so this particular company that I'm talking about, I won't say the name, they kind of were paralyzed by perfection. They wanted everything to be perfect before they rolled it out, but they already had the technology to do the gait speed, which is so important. They were looking at it really for Parkinson's, to know whether you needed to up someone's meds, like they weren't working as long, to see the gait speed, to predict a fall. Yep. I mean, not react to the fall, but predict it, which is what I'm sure you're thinking of. So I don't know. This stick figure one may do it. I'll have to look at all the fine details because there's so many things that they do. I would not be surprised.
Yeah, if we had something that could measure somebody's gait speed, the sway, the path deviation, like there's so many like when therapists, like all we do is we people watch. And so we can critique a gait pattern in seconds, right? And so when we're out there watching people move in their own home environment, like we pick up so much stuff just from watching them get up and move around their home. Right. So something like that.
I'll look for it.
Yeah,
I'll see.
It's awesome. That's very cool.
And this other one I'm thinking of that had the technology was motion. It was strictly motion.
Okay.
So I'll look and see.
Yeah, I think the challenge that some of these companies have is they need to figure out like what solution are they trying to solve for, versus a lot of times, like we saw this in the tech bubble, right? In the late 90s, early 2000s, it was like everybody needs a box, like the router and the switches. And so those companies just blew up. Everyone had, pet.com and all these websites because, that was like the new thing. Right. It feels like this is kind of like that too, where there's just been all these products kind of pushed out to the marketplace and no one really has put together like, okay, now how do we source these? Like, what's the most appropriate devices to use? What are the proper solutions that we're actually trying to solve here? What are the pros and cons? Like, and I think this is where working with somebody like you versus somebody just going on the internet and trying to find something, like actually calling you or communicating with you can be very helpful because you'll help them because you have test subjects in your family, mom and dad. Right. Thank you. Yeah. So you have somebody testing these things out anyway, so you can kind of and your experience work with the seniors for like the last 15 years, someone to kind of guide them would be very helpful.
Right. And I like there are some wearables that, so you get into the problem like the gait speed or whatever. Are two people living in the house? Because that would change. How do you identify that? Usually would be a wearable to identify who it is. Or the
face thing that one does.
Right. Yeah. Or are there dogs and pets in the house? Because when you're talking about motion sensors, it's motion. So that, you have to angle it up a little bit, or sometimes it doesn't register if it's a 20 pound. Oh yeah. So there's other things to think about. But yeah. And I think the other most important thing is expectations. Yeah. Is to really know what the expectation is and to set and the limitations.
Yeah. We're not quite to the Jetsons world yet, right?
Actually, that is so.
Are we close to that, I think?
That is so funny. So I mentioned earlier, I had done that conference a little while ago and I I had a bunch of pictures of Jetsons.
Oh, see, there you go.
That we're already doing.
Same wavelength. Yeah.
Talking in the phone, which that was a big deal. The flat screen TV was the thing. Drones. Yes. Elroy's Toys. And my favorite was, and I totally forgot this, she was making food with the 3D printer. Oh, like she would push the button for the 3D.
We are very
printed.
close.
We are there.
Close. We still need some humans in the home, but we're getting closer and closer.
Rosie, the robot maid. We have
very
the
close.
vacuum cleaners
I have the vacuum cleaner now. Yeah. That's right. That's awesome. I know. Well, very good. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Absolutely.
What is the best way for someone to get in touch with you?
Probably go to the website, agetechnow.com.
It's agetech.com. Now.com.
agetechnow.com. And there's a contact me form, or the phone number's on there.
Perfect. Yeah. Very good. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
All right.